Hello everybody, it's Sarah and I am back with short hair. I finally have short hair again and I'm so happy about it. Like about every 4 years-ish, 4 to 5 years, I really feel the need to just radically cut all my hair. Also, I obviously colored it darker again as well. But yeah, every 4 to 5 years I feel the need to radically cut my hair. And since it's now almost exactly 4 years since my cancer treatment is over and my hair has started growing back in after chemo, yeah, it was about time for me to cut my hair again. So yeah, very happy about that. However, you will still see some videos with my longer hair still because I did pre-film a couple of reviews. So yeah, don't wonder about that. But today we are going to talk about my TBR for November after I didn't set a TBR for October really, because after all I didn't upload barely at all in September. And so yeah, let's see if I can get through this TBR, because to be honest, ever since September started I've kind of been feeling a bit slumpy. I have hardly been reading at all. So we'll see how it goes. But as all of my TBRs so far this year, I will have 6 books on this TBR, 1 non-fiction book as well as 5 fiction books. And let's, as always, start with the non-fiction, which is a non-fiction that you should know very well by now, because I think I've put it on, like at least half my TBRs so far this year. Also, I probably won't get to 6 non-fiction books this year. If I'm lucky, I might read this one, so get a 4th one. Maybe get a 5th one in, because I have one that's quite short. But yeah, that goal just... I won't even bother trying to catch up to that goal anymore. But yeah, in November I am once again gonna try and start Orientalism by Edward Said. I might actually start Orientalism by Edward Said finally, because I will need to read this book for my master's thesis, which I am now starting. I officially started maybe like a few weeks ago. I haven't read anything for it yet, but you know, I have a supervisor and everything and a topic. And my topic is the construction of the other in posters of ethnographic museums. And since Orientalism as a concept deals very much with how the other is constructed in regards to, you know, the Oriental, so Middle East, Northern African, that type of region, also Asia in general, because for a long time the Orient was, you know, went to China. So Orientalism as a concept deals with that a lot. It deals with that also specifically in regards to art and literature. So I definitely want to read this for my master's thesis. I definitely have to read this for my master's thesis. And so maybe now I will finally get around to reading this. However, one thing that I won't get around to this year is my Orientalism and fantasy video. I'm sorry. I won't be able to do that. Too many things going on. You will get it next year though. Then next I have one reread planned for November, and that is The Splinter King by Mike Brooks. I have not even finished my reread of The Black Coast yet. However, I definitely want to reread The Splinter King in November, because I just finally want to get to the 3rd book and finish the trilogy before the year is over. This series is called The God King Chronicles. In the 1st book we mostly follow people living in a place called the Black Keep, and where they live they regularly have to deal with raiders coming to like pillage and raid and so on. And so one day the raiders once again appear on the horizon. However, this time it seems they don't come to, you know, fight, but they seem to come to settle. And so at the center of the 1st book is this conflict between these people who have feared the raiders for a very long time, but also the raiders who are fleeing from something very mysterious. And then in the background there's just also a lot of different locations where there's things moving and where we kind of find out more what's going on in the 2nd book. But yeah, I definitely really want to get to my reread of the 2nd book. I am also really enjoying my reread of the 1st book, even if I'm slow as fuck. I'm just currently, as I said, a bit slumpy. I don't know. It doesn't have anything to do with me not enjoying what I'm reading, but me when I'm you know, sitting down, lying down at home, whatever, just not really feeling like picking up a book. It's just like really hard for me to start reading, even if I do enjoy it once I sit down and actually read. But yeah, anyway, so this is my reread for November. So next, let's move on to the buddy read for my book club. My book club, of course, is Of Queens, Witches and Valkyries, and in the book club we center adult fantasy written by women and genderqueer folks. And in November we are reading Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir, which is the first book in the, what's it called, Locked Tomb series, I believe. And I think technically this is shelved as science fiction more so than fantasy, because it does take place in like space, I guess, although the setting for the first book apparently is like a haunted house type setting. However, I have also seen this described as fantasy in space, so I just put it on the poll for November and it won. So yes, I do not know that much about it, aside from, as I said, there's apparently a haunted house, it's fantasy in space, and there's lesbians. That's like pretty much all I know about this book and the series, and that it is very well loved. However, that it also takes time to get used to, and that it can be a little bit confusing, that you just kind of have to take it as it comes. But yeah, I'm gonna be very interested to see what I think of this book. So the next book I have is a book that was sent to me in return for an honest review, and that is An Incarnation of Shadow and Light by S.A. Christensen. I don't know too much about this novel, aside from obviously the back, or what it tells me in the back. There seems to be quite a few different characters, like socialites, merchants, exiled princes, there's an assassin. There seems to be a lot of a focus on politics, and the author told me this is new adult in terms of the age category. So yeah, I'm gonna be very excited to see what I think of this. Moving on, let's pull a book from my series TBR chart, although it looks like I kind of lost a few series in there, so maybe I should, you know, put series in there once again. As always, this is my TBR chart where I put all the unfinished series that are on my shelves in here, and I pull one series from this little, not jar, cauldron, once a month for my TBR to see which series I continue. And if I can get a series, let's see. So for November, I just pulled The Drowning Empire, but I might actually pull another series from this jar. Like The Drowning Empire, for those of you who don't know, it's by Andrea Stewart, and it starts with the Bone Shard daughter. However, the third book I think is supposed to come out at the beginning of 2023, so I would just like to read the second book, which is up here, this blue one right here. I would just like to read it closer to the release of the third book, so I'm just gonna pull another series from this jar. So I have the Millennium's Rule series by Trudy Canavan. Just a second, let me get the first two books. So The Millennium's Rule by Trudy Canavan is a 4-book series, of which I have so far read the first 2 books, and starting with Thieves' Magic. I did so far really enjoy the first 2 books, although I have to be honest, these are books that I'm mostly vibing with. Like, I can hardly remember the first book. However, the second book I did read this year, and so I can remember a lot more of the plot from the second book. I don't remember what the name of the third book is, however, so I can't tell you that right now, but I'll just insert the cover here. And yeah, I'm excited to continue on with this series. The last book I have for my November TBR is Kaikeyi by Vaishnavi Patel. This is a retelling of a part of the Ramayana, I believe. Like, it centers one of the characters, Kaikeyi, who is like this queen type character, I believe. And it's a retelling following her. It's often compared to Circe, however, I just kind of hesitate comparing retellings just because, you know, it centers an often misunderstood female character in the mythology. I think that's mostly why the two are compared. I don't think that in terms of style or anything they are compared, but just, you know, the centering of a female character. And yeah, I am very excited for this. I have finally gotten this in the mail because I waited to get the paperback because the hardcover was just too expensive for me. And so yes, very excited. I can't wait to get started with this one. Also, this one is on my r/fantasy bingo, and I need to get my grip on the entries on that bingo because there's so many books I still haven't read for that bingo. And yeah, that was it for my TBR for November. As always, tell me your thoughts if you have read any of the books that I have mentioned. If you haven't read any of the books but you would like to read them and you would like to buddy read them, also tell me in the comments down below. I am, as always up for a buddy read. If you enjoyed this video, maybe think about giving me a thumbs up and also maybe subscribing. All links to my social media as well as to my book club, as I mentioned, are linked down below, so go and check those out. And I hope I'll see you very soon. Bye!